This video is all about tariffs. It's dead boring, but does affect a few of us very, very deeply. So instead of me standing here rattling on about taxes and tariffs and trains, what I'm going to do is run some trains. If you really don't want to hear, you can just turn the volume down and watch the trains go by. Here's what happened. In a very recent video, I had to open this tank locomotive up to fit a new chip and found that the axle had split. Now, what's that got to do with tariffs? We'll get to trains running in just a moment, but I figured I'd show you this first. Well, this whole locomotive is made in China, produced by a company in Europe called Bachmann, and this is the tiny part here that's broken. It's not the only part, but it's one of them. How does tariffs apply to this? Well, you can't buy this locomotive in the United States. It's not made here. Very few people really want it. And to get the price to any reasonable sale price, you would have to make them in some quantity. Recently, I've been getting ads from an engineering company that says, we make anything. And they give you the price for the anything. And they've got a little widget there that costs $17 for one. If you make 10, they're $10 each. So one's $17, 10 is $10 each. If you have 1,000 of them, they're $1 each. Economy of scale. Same deal. That little fella there, split. Already the locomotive, I would guess, if I had to guess, there might be a dozen of them in America. Maybe a few more, who knows. But how many of them need that? Probably all of them. But this piece here must be worth, I don't know, maybe 5p. I'm willing to pay a few dollars for it. But now come tariffs. The only place that actually makes it is China. And so depending on how you get that depends on the tariff. Don't worry, my thoughts are going to be organized. Let's run some trains. Well, that was a nice surprise for train spotter Timmy, wasn't it? Tariffs, yes. Well, a couple of relevant background facts. If I order a train coming from England, let's say from Rails of Sheffield, then what will happen is that the normal VAT, the value added tax that I would pay if I were in England, I am discounted. So I don't pay VAT. Shipping's a little bit more expensive, so practically I get the vehicles a little bit cheaper than I would if I were buying them in England. Trains generally are made in China. They get shipped to the UK, and then we buy them from there if we are modelling in the UK outline. However, if you're in America and you're modeling American outline trains, they come directly from China. And then from the model shops here who've had to pay the relevant tax and tariffs and who knows what. So there's a little bit of background. There's something called de minimis. It's a lovely word, isn't it? Say it 3 times, de minimis. It basically, in practical terms, means that if the tax that you're trying to collect is going to cost more than it's worth, then don't bother. And so the government here in America has set that minimum, de minimis. They've set the level at a particular figure, and anything under that until now has not been charged tariffs or taxes. There are whole companies that have set up just to work that system. There's one in particular that's famous for selling cheap jewelry. And if you were to ship a container load of it into America and then sell it here, the jewelry or whatever it is they're selling would attract a huge amount of import tax. And so they just sell it individual items. And because it's relatively light, the shipping is okay. It's more than shipping a whole container, but it's charged on to the individual, and nobody seems to mind. Whole companies exist that way. So if you remove de minimis, you would then end up paying whatever the figure is today. So that's one of the issues with this import thing. Anything coming in from the UK, even if it has been manufactured in China, appears to stay with this minimum level still attached to it. Now then, that minimum level you have to watch. First of all, I'm not going to put figures because somebody in the comments is going to say, that's not right. Well, it might have been yesterday and it may be again tomorrow. But coming in from the UK, the figure, it's relatively easy to get close to that figure if you're buying a couple of trains that are sound fitted and you throw in a few extra bits and pieces. So you're up around that figure. The problem is that the exchange rate, because of the uncertainty with all of this, the exchange rate is also going up and down quite dramatically. And so while you think you're ordering a few £100 worth of toys, all of a sudden that few hundred is worth several more hundred in America, and it's the American dollar value that minimum level is set at. So I got very close to it on one recent order and wondered what was happening. So that's a thing to watch out for. If you order direct from China, it appears that the minimum has been removed. Now then, other factors. First of all, you can order something with the knowledge that you're likely to get charged, let's say 5% or 10% or even 20% tax, which is what the tariffs actually are. So you order it, it comes, and in the time it takes to get from the company that supplies it to your front door, the rules have changed 3 times. That is literally what happened over the last few weeks. So the rates went up and down, were delayed for 90 days, something else was reinstated, and all of that's happening. So uncertainty is absolutely one of the major problems with all of this. It appears that some companies are going to extraordinary lengths to get around the tariffs. I'm not going to name the companies. Of course I'm not. And I'm not going to specify which items. But certainly they're coming from places that you wouldn't have expected to see them coming from in the past. So there is some skullduggery going on there, I would believe. And if I can see it, you better believe the government agencies would be able to see it too. Although, of course, with the number of layoffs in those agencies, yeah, who knows. So lots going on, and lots of variations. Now, why is uncertainty a problem? Well, I simply don't order. I did it because I want to know and to be able to make a video and tell you about it, but I am certainly not ordering big things, big dollar things for now. I'm going to sit back and wait. Now, who does that hurt? Well, it hurts me because I don't get my toys. It hurts the small company that I would order from, and I like to pick up on the small businesses. And it hurts the manufacturer. In some cases, the manufacturers are working on very slim margins. So who's going to win on all of this? Well, I don't believe anybody is. Now then, to the end result, practical, who pays what and when. It appears, I'm running the mail train today, it appears that Royal Mail and the US Postal Service are stuck in their ways. They are very slow, it appears, to change anything. And even if there's a big sticker on the outside that says payment due, nobody seems to know how to collect that said payment due. So that's something to be aware of. Some of the other package delivery companies have been very quick to change and are very adaptable. So perhaps you're going to get more likeliness of paying tariffs if your goods are being shipped with them. Now, the practical, what have I paid? Easy answer, nothing. The company Rails of Sheffield, absolutely brilliant. They always give you heads up. They're fast, efficient, love them. I've ordered a number of times from them. They gave us the warning, you may end up paying 145% tariffs. Do you still want to put this order in? Let me just put that in black and white terms for you. If I'm ordering a locomotive for £100, which is relatively cheap these days, instead of paying £100, I would end up paying $245. So that is an ouch. Who's going to be hurt by that? Well, nobody is going to pay more than double for a locomotive that is made in China, just because it's made in China. No one is ever going to make that locomotive anywhere other than China. And even if they did, nobody would ever buy it. So it's all it's doing is hurting small businesses and the individual. It's a tax on me, essentially. And who pays that? Well, I'm not going to. And so I decide to do other things with model railways. And so the poor company that makes the stuff and then imports it is struggling. So tariffs, no, of course I don't like them. Are they a clever way of taxing? Not at all. Does it work? Not at all. Are there other ways of doing the same thing? Probably. Do tariffs work? I don't believe they do. What's the biggest problem with tariffs? The biggest problem seems to be that there is so much uncertainty. Look, if I'm buying small plastic parts for $1 and instead of costing $1, they cost $2.45, that's one thing. I'll pay it because I want to get my locomotive repaired. But that end of the scale is discounted because of the minimums in any case. So nobody's collecting. On the other end of the scale, well, you're buying a car or an aircraft or in our world, a locomotive, then it's going to hurt enough not to do it. Let's hope it all goes away and sorts itself out. In the meantime, let's enjoy some trains going by. A recap. Tariffs have disrupted the ordering process when items are being delivered via Royal Mail and the United States Postal Service. No tariffs so far have been charged, even when the de minimis minimums have been come very close to. So no, in 5 orders that I've placed, no charges so far. Hope that helps someone. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe, like, and do all of that good stuff if you want to see me playing trains. Thanks. See you next time.